Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to the CDL Major 2, an absolutely absurd day of action. So many ridiculous series, crazy results, entertainment all across the park. Taking it a tad easier on the voice this afternoon because it doesn't seem to respond too well when I go a little bit too hard. But yeah, so much to dive into. We'll talk London versus Toronto tomorrow morning, but plenty to dive into before we get to that point. Of course, today was April Fool's Day. Conley come out with an update regarding Major 2. Thankfully, all was okay and going ahead as planned. The New York versus Los Angeles Thieves series as well. That came up, of course, later in the day. A ridiculous affair. The Call of Duty on display wasn't the greatest, let's be perfectly honest, but it certainly was entertaining. Before we get to that point, though, we have to talk about two other series, and we'll talk about the OpTic Rokkr series to finish off the job as well. Paris versus London Royal Ravens. Really interesting matchup, to be honest, between these two teams. Honestly, Temp was an absolute monster this series, but it just was not enough against London. They finally showed kind of what they're capable of here. Paris, though, to their credit, right, as of late, they've looked like a much more kind of promising, strong team against very decent opposition. This game one, it was close until Ravens pulled away at the end. Same story, to be honest, on the game two. Tough situation really here on the Bakaja. I don't know if it was Temp defusing, but I think it was maybe Gravity defusing in a 1v1 against Zero. Zero is a monster, by the way, on that Bakaj Search and Destroy. But as Temp says, crowd giving away ninjas, sunk by BBC. He wasn't a happy man, and you can understand it, right? The crowd, I don't know why this stuff has to even happen. Wasn't even that many people in the crowd, but it's still an issue that has kind of plagued the event so far, and not just for the OpTic series, which is usually some of the discussion. And I kind of tweeted out right here with the whole make it a quote thing. I thought it was pretty entertaining. But yeah, Paris 2-1 at this point, down to London. They win this control. Surprising to me, to be honest, London obviously picked this Gavutu control, still lose it to the Paris Legion guys. That London didn't win an offense. Lately, it seems like they've kind of fallen off on their offensive rounds over here, or they're getting hard countered quite significantly. Tough to say exactly what's going wrong, but they get pretty much smoked on all their offenses. Gizmo certainly does. Jimbo goes double positive, and yeah, Paris get a 1 map back, but that's not enough to close out the series. 3-1 at the end. A ridiculous Tuscan hardpoint to finish off the game. Temp was going rogue, he made some crazy plays. The Volk was coming out into business as well, I believe this map at times as well. But yeah, London somehow still win this final rotation. They get all the kills, like Gravity doesn't get in hill, where maybe he arguably could have done. London closed this one out. Just a ridiculous map, like if it could have gone game 5, who knows what happens here. But yeah, London just about gets over line against Paris. They advance in the tourney. Plenty of drama around this series actually with regard to GAs, right? To win that game 2, Afro was using kind of like a pixel spot. There's basically a crack in the wall, one of the buildings on Bagage. Classic stuff from Vanguard, to be perfectly honest. You can look through it, get some kills, or at least get some information. That is apparently a spot that's GA'd. I believe Asim talked about it on the flank a little bit ago. Seemingly, London guys weren't really aware about it. Temp says didn't really shake hands because apparently we were breaking GAs because of the whole Volk stuff, but then they were breaking GAs as well. So Afro says didn't realise it was GA'd. Take full responsibility for that one. And Trey goes on to say, look, apologies on behalf of everyone. Didn't tell Marcus that being Afro it was GA'd. Thought he knew. But yeah, it turns out that wasn't the case. But anyway, not an advance. Final series stats look something like this. Temp with a 1.25. This guy's out of control. Lots of people would say, look, get this guy off the Paris Legion. It does feel kind of strange, really. Temp's frying. He's playing really well. He's making great routes, but still, he can't get any success on Paris. So tough to see. Maybe if roster changes come through, Temp could be a guy to buy out of his contract. I'm sure it's a possibility given the way Paris like to deal with their finances. Speaking of the Volk, that certainly came back into business here in game 2. We had the Los Angeles Guerrillas up against Toronto, and a crazy series this one. Game 1, honestly, Spart was going off this entire series. He just looks so good with this weapon in hand. Here we are on the Tuscan hardpoint once again. Ultra again. Honestly, these guys, it must be like a mental block or something with them in the hardpoints. They simply cannot win a hardpoint to save their lives right now. It's tragic to watch. They lose the game 1. To their credit, they bounce back on the game 2. Again, it's Insight just stealing the show. Pretty much everyone on Toronto hasn't showed anywhere near a decent level as of recent, but like Insight's basically been the only guy. I mean, a 1v3, he pulls out like a 1v3 every single search and destroy map he plays, I swear. I think he has 3 at least so far this stage, if not more than that. Many more clutch as well, like even this one, just dominant performances, to be honest, from Insight, just showing how it's done. Yeah, he ties up the series, or he ties up the game, ties up the series as well, but that's really where things got surprising for me, because the control, where Toronto have been so good as of late, and LAG can't seem to win a round to save their lives, or at least win an offense, they take this one, go up 2-1, and going into a hardpoint, that's not the situation you want to be for Toronto, having to win this to take it to a game 5. Asim goes off on the main stage here on this Berlin hardpoint, completely takes over the game. Honestly, was so impressive. Huke, I believe, was the one that took over the control, but it's crazy the fact that Asim can just come in here to this team expected to fill gaps, right, and not really do all that much, just kind of be a facilitator and be like one of the craziest takeover players in the entire league. This play certainly helped them get over line. They win the game 3-1. Toronto Ultra, right, starting from losers, had a torrid finish of their regular stage matches. They go up top 12. Of course, they've come top 4 or at least top 3 before this season. Every single event they played with Insight in the team, not the case anymore. Big questions to be raised for these guys, what they do going forwards. Could they be part of a roster mania shuffle? That's certainly a question that will be raised over the coming days. From the second best team over the entirety of last season, no doubt about it, now placing top 12, winning like basically no hard points this entire stage apart from 2 they won against Minnesota. $0 in the bank, not ideal at all for these guys. Serious questions to be raised there. Let's go on to the next series then, Subliners versus Los Angeles Thieves. I was wondering if Thieves lost this one, whether a potential trade could be inbound with Toronto. I guess we'll see what happens after this tournament concludes. But yeah, Subliners don't count us out just yet, they say. And I mean, yeah, honestly, it was a great start to the series for them. Again, Thieves look pretty lost in the hardpoint. New York took a pretty decisive advantage here on this game 1 Berlin. They closed it out again. Thieves, honestly, after the game 2, I thought it was 100% chalked because, honestly, this round 11 that they found themselves in here on Desert Siege, again, New York do find themselves quite often, have a quite significant advantage, a comfortable advantage in one of the search and destroys, and they throw it away somehow or another. Nameless says, look, they try to hit their spawn out of B, lost fell about that one. This is kind of the moment you guys can see right here. It goes round 11 on the Desert Siege, a very entertaining map to watch, but it seems like Los Angeles Thieves believed their spawn was kind of compromised. This kind of mid-alley cut was pretty compromised, so both of them decide for some inexplicable reason to just rush Crimsix in the spawn. Drazah gets killed by Crim, Envoy gets taken down from the flank, I'm guessing by Paul X, and it's absolutely chalked. So I don't know what Los Angeles Thieves do in round 11s, but they always find a kind of creative way to throw it away, kind of similar to OpTic Chicago last year, but in fairness to them, they then start to bring things back. As soon as I saw this tweet that Gersh did, I thought, okay, maybe something's actually going to happen here. Don't worry, Hicks, we blew it up, they say, when it's kind of in the control, they have a pretty decisive advantage. Somehow Los Angeles Thieves choke a defense that they should not have choked at all, or at least all they had to do was get like 1 tick on offense, I'm pretty sure, to guarantee defense round 5. They give it to New York effectively, but New York managed to throw it away, and Drazah goes insane in the round 5, clutches up this one, and then of course they take it into the game 4, and who knows what can happen at that point. But honestly, Drazah was out of control. This was the kind of spark for Thieves, right? They won this round. You thought, okay, wow, could something possibly happen here? They get this capture over at B, Drazah goes off, and that was kind of what he needed, right? I'm pretty sure Modok said a few days ago, it's the confidence that's key right now for Drazah and the rest of the team. This certainly was a massive confidence builder. They took that into the game 4, but even then, right, New York had a pretty significant advantage in the game 4. They go up pretty big on the Tuscan hardpoints, throw that one away as well, and New York have looked so much better with Paul X, no doubt, but like, they still seem to have serious issues actually closing out games and closing out rounds, because this was one they should have won. Their final defense, no doubt, the game 4 control as well, they should have won. It goes down, ooh la la, says Malsaros, goes all the way to game 5, and game 5 was absolutely absurd, to be honest. Neptune had this situation 1 versus 2, played this impeccably. As soon as I saw this again, I thought, wow, okay, New York have the ice factor, Thieves are going to find a way to throw away this game again. But honestly, round after round, Paul X also, like, there was one round where Kenny got completely destroyed by Paul X, should not have lost that gunfight at all, and then the few rounds after that, Kenny goes off on the main stage, and then the few rounds after that, some great calls from Los Angeles Thieves. Kenny just keeps getting better and better, and they close out this final map 6-4 to reverse sweep the New York Subliners and knock them out of the tournament. Incredible composure, in fairness, from Thieves. I still thought they played pretty shoddy this series, all things considered. I'm not convinced at all they're going to make a crazy lower bracket run, but honestly, New York, they played well to the start of things, but like, you know, they just failed to close things out. It was pretty tragic watching them, to be honest. These last few maps completely collapsed in a way that Los Angeles Thieves typically do. So kind of a role reversal here in a way. And despite all the massive improvement they have seen as of late, still questions are going to be raised when you come top 12 at a tournament, whether roster changes need to be on the horizon once again. The third team to go out then off the day after the Paris Legion and the Toronto Ultra, of course, Subliners out top 12, $0 in the bank. Plenty of spicy reaction to this on the title, and we'll probably have to dive into tomorrow morning because we've got to talk about OpTic versus Rokkr. And here we go then, the final series I want to cover in this video, Rokkr versus OpTic Texas. Crazy series once again, super back and forth. Honestly, firstly, credit to the crowd, right? They showed out in force today. I was mega impressed actually about the crowd here. Like, what Rokkr have done locally, these local activations they've done with their kind of culture with the team is so impressive. I don't think any other organization has really tapped into the local market quite how Rokkr have. The Let's Go Rokkr chants, the last time I remember an event where the OpTic fans of the venue were getting kind of, you know, at least 50-50, if not here, they were getting outshone, to be honest, is maybe a London event a few years ago, maybe an ESWC, but even outside of that, right, usually the OpTic crowd still takes some precedence, the green wall goes everywhere. But yeah, this series was fantastic, just from that side of things, honestly. The crowd were out of control, it was a great time to watch it. Lots to talk actually about the map set before the series even began. Gavutu Hardpoint, Desert Siege Search, and Berlin Hardpoint both in here by OpTic. Very interesting, right, given the fact that those two maps they struggled on most certainly, but these are the maps they've tried to round out their map pool on. They're very confident, especially on their Berlin Hardpoint, their Siege Search and Destroy as well. We'll see how that works out for them in this series though. Game 1 then, what is he on? Schultzy, honestly, there was a couple of times this series series, really, where all the players, maybe with the exception of Illy, but even he had his moments, they would just take over a game for like a few seconds and would just completely dominate Rokkr. Like this game one, Shotzzy had a pretty slow start to the game. He ends up on this ridiculous streak, gets all these kills in a row. OpTic win a pretty dominant Kavutu hardpoint, but honestly, if you're losing game one hardpoint to Minnesota Rokkr, I'm pretty sure they're, what, 1 in 12 this season in their game one hardpoints. That's pretty shocking. But they are pretty good at bouncing back in the game twos. That's what they do. Very back and forth affairs. Some really interesting rounds here, to be honest. And first bloods were going down. There was a round where Shotzzy got an injured defuse in. But anyway, Minnesota Rokkr, they close this one out. Definitely some questionable stuff coming in from OpTic towards the end. Generally just good plays from Minnesota. But it was kind of interesting, right, seeing this, given the fact that OpTic were pretty keen, right, to go for this Desert Siege, knowing they're very confident on this map. But Rokkr win it anyway. And you cannot afford at all costs to go game 5 with Minnesota Rokkr, because in that type of situation, anything is possible. We know these guys love to pull off a reverse sweep. They've done plenty of those lately, at least by going 1-1 here. OpTic didn't give themselves the chance to get reverse swept, right, but they certainly would have to win a control. The control was honestly ridiculous. Like, it seems like as time progresses, more and more defensive rounds tend to be won. It's frustrating, but at the same time, it can be pretty tense to watch, because you've got to think now about the ticks coming through. This round in particular, right here, OpTic did a great job on their defense. There was a few moments where OpTic's defense looked like it was going to collapse, and then out of nowhere, Scum pops like a 4-piece, as he did right here. This 3-piece was pretty absurd. Shotzzy coming into play, like Dashie had some great moments as well. Like when they needed to on the defense, the OpTic guys individually stepped up to the plate, got the kills they needed, secured defense round 5, got the job done there as well. Few moments where this could have gone either way, but Dashie statistically had a fantastic map 3, and this of course is the key, right? You can't afford to lose another control in a row. OpTic's control has been absurd. They of course lost this to Seattle Surge yesterday, and yeah, their round 5s, their defenses on Tuscan are just so good as long as they can secure defense round 5. They used to be incredibly good at securing defense round 5 just due to the kills that Dashie would put on the map. Nowadays it's more due to ticks, so it can get a little bit sketchy there. They got the job done here regardless, and the final map of the series, it goes to Berlin, right? This was the big question mark to me, because Desert Siege, their other kind of map that they floated in this series, they lost that one. Could they win a Berlin that they've been very confident on lately? There were a few moments here that really swung the game in their favour. Dashie especially had some fantastic moments. Shotzzy on the whole had a phenomenal series. His amount of impact this series was honestly immense, but the rest of the guys as well, Scum as well had his plenty of moments on his side also. But yeah, Minnesota, they're not the greatest hardpoint team. OpTic came to play today, a 3-1 victory, a pretty comfortable one at that, and that sets up a series tomorrow up against the Los Angeles Thieves. Would you believe it? OpTic versus LA Thieves in the lower brackets continue on the tournament run. Last time they played, of course, it was that game 5 round 11 they had in the regular stage matches. But yeah, commiseration to Minnesota. They of course showed up to their own major. They come top 12, don't win a match. Like of course the 4th team to be eliminated on the day. The fact of the matter is, if you're coming top 12, questions are going to be raised about the roster. What are you going to do? Could they be one of the teams involved in post-major changes or trades, right? That's seemingly a relatively likely possibility. And even tomorrow's teams, when they lose coming top 8, is that good enough either? Like yeah, so many storylines to carry through to the rest of the weekend here. But OpTic survive, at least for now. Their losers bracket run does not get easier. It certainly gets harder as the weekend progresses. LA Thieves are going to be out for blood tomorrow. The Envoy versus Scum match once again, or Envoy versus OpTic match, is just going to be fantastic. And just some post-series stats to show for you guys right here. Dashie with a 1.24, Shotzzy with a 1.24. But I mean, yeah, Dashie actually has the most damage in the lobby, but Shotzzy has way more kills. This guy was absolutely flying off the Pine Park. But very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'll get some honey and lemon tea or something for my voice for tomorrow. Hopefully nurture it back to business. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.